Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our series of webinars on joyful parenting. Yes, parenting is indeed extremely joyful, and we at Mother's Pet Kindergarten, Nagpur, intend to make it even more so. I am Mrs. Kalpana Dhareshwar, Director Principal, Mother's Pet Kindergarten, who spent 30 wonderful years in this wonderful institution, which has added a lot of value to people's lives. It has given Nagpurians quality education and, as is our mantra, a lot of joy. I have today with me a renowned medical nutrition therapist from Mumbai, Mrs. Delnaaz Chandwadia, who will speak on nutrition in the early years. Delnaaz has a rich experience as a dietitian and a nutritionist. She has worked for some of the most renowned hospitals in Mumbai. She has also been awarded a national award, and she is an avid blogger too. Welcome to our series on joyful parenting, Delnaaz, and we are indeed very privileged to have you with us. Now, today's topic, food for thought and thought for food. That forms the crux of our talk today. Food is India's national obsession. Whether you're a 4-year-old or a 40-year-old man, the first question your mom will always ask is, Beta, aapne khana khaye? When a child gets into the car after a hard day at school, what is the first question the mother will ask? Did you finish your tiffin today at school? No question on whether the school was a happy place or a good place. We are indeed a nation obsessed with food. And today, our obsession is at a different level, I would say. Gen Z and a lot of us are obsessed with fad diets, fitness. We've got a lot of fitness freaks, all adults who want to look good. Now, I would like to tell you to look good in your teens and later on. Where should we start? To look good, you need to have good food also. And I think the most important thing that we need to concentrate on is the little child. If you need a good nutrition for an adult, you need to start young. You need to start in the early years. And what better than the little one at home, in your kindergarten? So, Delnaaz, without much ado, I request you to set the ball rolling.
A very good evening to everyone. Am I audible?
Yes.
Lovely. Okay. I'm super excited for this one, as I have already mentioned, because I feel, and it is my passion, that nutrition begins really young. Most of us realize very late that the mistakes we made in childhood, for the lack of knowledge, for the lack of information that our parents had back then, we kind of pay up for it in our adulthood. So if we can fix this problem right at the root, then I think we're going to give rise to healthy, happy babies, right? So apart from the aesthetics of eating right and looking lovely, I feel if somebody asks me, does this look good on me? I just say that if you're in good shape, everything looks good on you, right? So I think the thing to look aesthetically pretty or stunning or whatever you want to call it is if you are healthy and if you are in shape, because a sack of potatoes doesn't look just as good, right? So we're not going to talk about a sack of potatoes. We're going to talk about the vitamins, the minerals, the tiny things that make a big difference as we go ahead in life. My name is Delnaaz. Nutrition has been a passion for me since I was in grade 10. So ever since I was in grade 10, I knew that I wanted to do nutrition, right? So I'm going to take you through this. Early childhood is a critical period of growth and development. So there are different types of growth that is happening during this period. So there is physical growth, there's emotional development, there's also a lot of cognitive development that is happening, because as you know, the child is exposed to a varied environment. They go to school, they go to play, they're in the house, they have social interactions. So there's a lot of cognitive development as well, which is happening in this crucial phase. In school, they're picking up new things. So, you know, your child comes home every day with a new word they've learned or a new sentence they've made. So this is a very important aspect, which is supported by nutrition as well. It's a ride that involves growth, emotions, and change, for which nutrition is an important pillar, because I also feel that this is an age where our tantrums are at the peak. I don't know if you faced it, but I faced it that the moment we started school, in the initial week, the behavior was completely different. So if you're going to fuel your child in the right way, then I feel that we're going to make a difference in their health. So the goal of this presentation, one is to understand nutrients. Nutrients are divided into macronutrients, which is the big guys, and the micronutrients, which is the small guys. So as we know, big wheels turn on small pins. So the small pins may not be in your focus most of the time, but they're most important. To understand and use practical tips for incorporating these into your children's diet, and to learn long-term benefits of good nutrition. Okay, so the role of nutrition in early development. So there are long-term benefits, those that have an impact on physical development and on cognitive development. So long-term benefits are those that lay the foundation for a healthy adulthood. So if you see a lot of kids who are not fed correctly, and I'm saying fed because if you leave it to the kids, they'll be eating candies and chocolates. So it is our greater responsibility to feed them correctly. So if a child is not fed correctly in at this age, they either form really bad relationships with food, or they're making the wrong choices in terms of eating a lot of sugar, a lot of sugary drinks, etc., which has their predisposition then in adulthood, where they turn out to be obese, where obesity now is rampant. If we know that India is now the capital of diabetes, which is not a good thing. So I feel if we can nip it in the bud when they are at this age, it would be really beneficial for them. Impact on physical development. As you know, this is the age where their maximum height growth, their bones are growing, and those need to be supported. Impact on cognitive development. This is where the brain is also maximizing itself. We need to understand that a lot of the brain is fat, and good quality fat rather than fearing fat is most important that is fed to them. Anything packaged and processed is going to have a lot of trans fat. So we don't want the trans fat because that's not beneficial for the child.
Delnaaz, I would just like to interrupt here. As a
Yes, ma'am.
school, what we do is children come to school early in the morning just having a glass of milk. So what we tell the children, after 15 minutes, we finish the prayers and everything. We tell the children, we give them a short 10-minute fruit break. Because,
That's nice.
when they have the fruits, and we have a fruit menu which is shared with the parents. So all
Okay.
children get into the habit of eating this fruit. So, like how you tell, the children, after they come, they feel a little full after they have like one banana, one orange, a few pieces of papaya, and
Right.
then they're able to concentrate well. That's what we have seen. Another
Right.
thing that,
Absolutely.
yes, another thing what we have done is we give them the vegetable menu.
Okay.
Now, looking and at Nagpur, we are very lucky. We have the seasonal vegetables. So we
Right.
make a list of the vegetables that are available and we tell the
Okay.
parents. With this, what we have found is children are able to eat pumpkin, they're able to eat beans because their lady's
Everybody
finger,
is eating that.
everybody is eating the same, including the teacher.
That's
So,
interesting.
yes, so this is how we at Mother's Pet have taken care of nutrition.
So I think the legacy of the school is what gives us this knowledge and the base,
Yes,
because as we are trying to ape the West, we're really moving away from the indigenous
yes,
produce that the country has to offer.
yes,
Given that, and the more we move away from what we should be doing, we see a lot of deficiency.
yes,
So instead of going for fad diets or things you've heard on social media. If you just follow science, which obviously our ancestors did follow science, uh, I think we would make wiser choices,
Yes.
right? So we move to common nutritional deficiencies that are seen, and these are also what we will be discussing further. The first most important one is an iron deficiency. So as you mentioned, initially you would want to incorporate good habits like the fruit, the vegetable. And if you don't incorporate them really early in life, they don't really have the habit to eat them later in life.
Yes.
So I know of a family member who never ate vegetables. He would hide vegetables under the plate and throw them in the bin. And till the date, he doesn't have vegetables. So I think the habits you form now are the habits that will take you forward later in life.
Yes.
So iron deficiency anemia is seen basically when you see things like fatigue, pallor under the eyes, pallor in the mouth as well, where you realize that, okay, there is an iron deficiency, but iron deficiency is not only iron being deficient. You may be feeding enough iron-rich foods, but if there is not enough absorption happening in the system, then iron is not getting absorbed, and that could lead to a deficiency. That could also lead to developmental delays. So there are many times we see kids or parents that complain about children not being able to focus in class or very distracted, attention span is shorter. So I think we need to check their hemoglobin, try to be on track with their blood work as well. When your child is almost one, the first thing the doctor, your pediatrician visits at 1 year old is going to be to check your child's hemoglobin. Because until then, we're breastfeeding and complementary feeding. But post that, if your child's hemoglobin is not up to the mark, like at the point of 12 or above, then we're going to want to supplement it. But I feel that if you can match up, because children's needs in terms of numbers are very minute. And if you give them a balanced diet, I think we can meet up with their needs. The
Yes.
next is calcium deficiency. This is the time where a lot of growth in terms of bone health is happening. They are attaining height. Calcium is not only for the bones and the teeth. I don't know if we are aware of that, but it is also important for the heart muscle, pumping of the heart, etc., where calcium is important. So if we have enough calcium-rich foods, things like ragi, dairy, fortified milk, etc., then calcium should not be an issue. However, if your child is again lactose intolerant, etc., then we need to look at and explore our sources for calcium. Vitamin A deficiency. So vitamin A and D are fat soluble vitamins and they can be stored in the body. However, sometimes there is a deficiency when we follow mono diet. So mono diets are things like where your child is eating only dal chawal or only khichdi because my child doesn't like. So I'm not going to invest the time to feed or to introduce him to new foods. And I don't want the struggle at mealtime. So I will want to give him what he likes to. In that case, we are only exploring the vitamins, minerals in that particular food that we offer. So vitamin A is very important for vision, immune function, your skin, hair, nails, all the health is dependent on vitamin A. Vitamin D is again, like we said, bone health, the cause of rickets when we are deficient. The cheapest source of vitamin D is going to be sunlight. But in our day-to-day lives, in the lifestyle that we lead, we don't want our kids to be exposed to sunlight, or we are worried they're going to become tan. I don't know, a lot of apprehensions that we
No, we
have
have a
that
lot
the
of parents who tell us that, like adults, that, why don't you cover this area with a green matting? There is sunlight coming. Children will feel, and we have seen children feeling tired. And this is something very new for me because when I was a child, I spent hours outside and I never ever felt tired. And sweating is very good, I think. And today's parents also say, no, don't put the child in the sun. It is very hot. And these kinds of things. And I feel children are too protected nowadays.
So I think we're not gearing them up for the big bad world outside,
Exactly,
right?
exactly.
We need to start with sunlight.
Sunlight.
So, in the olden days, they used to have an angan
Yes,
where there were large houses and the center area was exposed to the sky so that there would be sunlight and babies would be kept there for a good while or allowed to be played over there so that they allow vitamin D, right? But in today's day and age, we load our babies with sunscreen. We don't allow them to go in the sun because they feel, I don't know, heat stroke or whatever it is. I do understand
Yes.
the sun is harsh at certain hours in the day, but there are
Yes.
certain hours in the day, if we just wake up a little early, allow the kids to be out rather than sitting in front of a screen, etc. So I feel that if you can allow your kids to be out between 8 to 9 in the morning, or allow your kids to be out between 4 and 5 or 4 to 6 in the evening, then that is a good time for sunlight. It's no point for waiting for the sun to go down.
And I
So
think that is the
honestly, that is the
cheapest
cheapest.
source of vitamin D, isn't it?
Absolutely. Then there's
Yes.
fortified milk, and then there's mushrooms and all of that. But when you get it free, I don't know why you want to pay for it.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And then we move
Yes.
to fiber. Fiber, a lot of kids you will see again on mono diets who are not eating enough fruits and vegetables. Constipation is a big problem. And this leads us to something known as the gut microbiome, which is the microbiota or the microflora in your gut. If it's not a healthy microflora in your gut, it's going to affect your immunity, it's going to affect your satiety signals, it's going to affect everything. So nowadays, a lot has been said about the microflora in your gut. A lot of studies have been done, and the best way to do it is fiber because the microflora feed on the fiber. So that is food for the
Okay.
microorganisms in the gut, and that also has a big role to play in immunity. So if we shift to indigenous foods, if we shift to more traditional foods, then I think we take in enough fiber as against if we're shifting our focus to more packaged, processed, easy to consume
Yes.
foods, we're not getting enough fiber there. Okay. So the role of nutrition is, I'm hoping everybody's convinced by now that the role of nutrition is very important from a very early age. Initially, I think we've already finished this
Yeah.
slide. Okay. Okay, so essential nutrients are going to be divided into two, macronutrients and micronutrients. Macronutrients are the big guys, which is the carb, proteins, and fats. Each of their functions are very clear, crystal clear, and distinct. Then we move to vitamins and minerals, water and fiber, which is the micronutrients, which is the small guy. Okay, carbohydrates. Like we know, for anybody, be it a child, be it an adult, the most important requirement of the body is energy. Everything else is secondary. The most important is energy. So if I need to go and run, my first important thing is energy. And that energy comes from carbohydrates. However, carbohydrates are not bad. You need to make the right choice. So today there are a lot of low carb and keto and vegan and all of that. And that's not to be practiced for our kids. Okay, because we want them to have a good relationship with food. So the carbs are not the bad guys as long as you eat the correct carbs in the right amount at the right time. So your preferred carbs are going to be whole grains, whole pulses, fruits and vegetables. So all of that is high fiber, also giving you vitamins and minerals. Ragi is an indigenous source, like I said. So I would suggest that we sprout the ragi and use it as sprouted ragi flour or malted ragi flour. It's very simple to do it at home. Soak the ragi, allow it to sprout, allow it to dry, and make it a powder. You have sprouted ragi flour ready for kids. You can make it as a porridge. You can do many things with it. It's about being creative with recipes. But sprouting allows the fibers to become easily digested. It also increases the nutrient composition of the grain. So any kind of sprouting is good for the child. Avoid sugary stuff. Uh, your sources again are going to be whole grain, oatmeal, fruits, and vegetables. The most important point here to make is that when I say carbohydrates, you're going to think of the bad guys. You're going to think of sugar. You're going to think of everything that you're not supposed to eat because it's carbs and carbs are the villain. But carbs are not the villain. So if you do a good brown rice, or if you do a quinoa, or if you do an amaranth, or if you do a sama, these are all indigenous grains. Okay, but the sabudana I think we can avoid because it's not the best for adults or for kids.
Okay.
So we have very good Indian grains. We just need to explore and we need to get used to cooking them because I think we're so
Okay.
used to using the rice and the dalia that we
Rice
don't look
and
beyond that,
yes. Yes.
right?
So
But
Delnaaz,
amaranth is very good.
okay. Delnaaz, I would like to share with you at Mother's Pet. From last year, we started this initiative, which we call the No Sugar Policy. We found that,
Wow.
at school on birthdays, we would have parents, sending a packet of sweets. And
Hmm.
sometimes there would be 4 birthdays on a single day. So a child would go home with about 4 to 5 bars of chocolate. So we decided that let's start this no sugar policy. So the child will anyway be eating sugar at home. So at
Right.
school, let's stop it. And instead, we tell parents on the child's birthday, send some stationery item for all his friends. And you can send a storybook, you can send an
Right.
activity book. So we have found parents have taken to it very well, and they're very appreciative of this policy of ours. That's what another thing I would like to tell parents is, on your plate, instead of sugar and this, have a rainbow on your plate. All colors of the rainbow, and I think you're sorted then. You'll have your entire
That's
balanced
true.
diet on your plate.
That's true. So honestly, I don't know about the parents. I'm very appreciative of the no sugar.
Yes. So I
Yeah,
was very happy, we got a
that's
very good
really good
positive response.
because
Yes.
as much as parents say, my child runs around and he needs the energy,
Yes.
and but none of us need refined sugar.
Refined sugar.
It's
Exactly.
not required. I mean, I'm giving you a personal example. I know people might be saying that it's easy to come on a portal and speak like that, but we speak with, we do it ourselves. Like my daughter does not have sugar in her oatmeal in the morning. She does not know what a packaged cereal looks like because it's never
Wow.
given to her, right? If there is nothing, I'd rather give her roti with, an egg or something, but I'm not going to give her
Yes.
a muesli or a cornflakes or a choco, right? Because that's something she doesn't know of. But obviously, she's going to
Yes.
enjoy it when I give it to her. But
Yes.
on a regular basis, she has oats without sugar. And there's no honey, there's no jaggery, there's no fruit inside, nothing. She just has plain oats. So, my point here is that sugar is an acquired taste. If
Yes.
you don't introduce it to them, and honestly, uh, when we speak about this, it's very important to understand that the first 1,000 years, first 1,000 days of what you do and how you feed your child is most important. So initially, for the first 2 years, they say we don't give sugar to the child, and for the first 1 year, we don't give salt. So if we follow these guidelines, it becomes very easy later in life. So if you see, we did not do sugar for almost 1.5 year, and then everybody, then it was obviously pressure from everyone that how can you not give, how can you not? It's not important.
Yes.
So if you want the sugar, then you can do healthier options like jaggery, or jaggery is still the same as sugar, but dates, anjeer, raisins, they're easier to sweeten something rather than
Yes.
using sugar, jaggery, and honey. Yes, you may tell me that jaggery is natural and honey is natural. Great, but the body doesn't understand the difference between honey, jaggery, and sugar. It processes it the same
Oh,
way.
okay. Okay.
Yeah, so they may have minerals here and there, and it may be natural. Great, but for the body, it's still sugar.
Okay. I think like how Delnas, you set an example for your child. I had a very aware parent. The minute the children would get into the car after school, she
Hmm.
had a bowl of carrot sticks, cucumber
Wow.
sticks, and she would give it to them. So she told me, imagine these children were 2 years old, pre nursery children. They were twins, I still remember. And she would say,
Right.
I have brought them up like this. So the minute they get in, they don't ask for a sugary juice or a chocolate or anything. They're used to eating a carrot stick, a cucumber stick,
Yeah, so
which
that's very
was
important about mindful choices. It's not so
exactly.
difficult. It's not to buy
It's
anything out
not
of a
difficult.
store.
Yes,
Yeah, it's just the choice that we make.
yes,
Yeah. Uh, we next move on to the most important and the most contraindicated macronutrient of all times, that is protein. Proteins are very important to the system because we want for proper growth and development, which is the main function of protein. Okay, so proteins are required in the amounts of 13 to 19 grams per day. So if you see, this is just about 1/10 of what an adult would need. So I'm thinking it'll be rather easier. But what happens is Our Indian culture of eating food such that we tank in on all the carbohydrates and we forget about the protein. But
Proteins.
please understand that the carbs are dispensable. If you don't eat enough carbs, the fat will work for you. If you don't eat enough fat, it's really okay. You will get a few deficiencies, of course. But if you don't eat enough protein, the growth, the development, the repair, the immunity, the hormones, all of that are compromised because protein is not coming in. Also, please understand that the function of protein cannot be done by carbs or fat. So imagine fat working for growth and repair. Imagine carbohydrate working for maintenance of tissues. No, it doesn't happen. So it's very important that proteins are there in every single meal. So if I have to run through a normal day of a vegetarian Indian, your breakfast is going to be upma, poha, idli, dosa. Okay, where the
Yes.
predominant macronutrient is going to be carbohydrate. Then you move to lunch, which is going to be rice, dal, roti, sabji. Paneer is a one-off. If you eat egg, I have eaten egg in the morning, so I'm not going to eat it for lunch. Dahi, okay, some of us get a cold and a cough, so dahi is eliminated. The same applies to chas. Then you move to dinner. Dinner is roti and sabji. So if you look at it very practically, this entire day has zero protein,
Yes.
right? And this is a big problem for kids. So it's
What
very
about
important that
vegetarians? See, I'm a vegetarian, pure
right,
vegetarian. So
right,
every vegetarian has this problem that where do I get, how can I eat enough proteins?
right. So honestly, you can use dairy, which is paneer, dahi, good quality cheese. I'm not
Yes.
asking you to use the Amul cheese and the processed cheese because that's
Processed.
just fat and salt. But if you
Yes.
use a good cheese, which is a natural cheese, like an Emmental or a Gouda or whatever, which is
Okay.
available, those are good sources of protein. Again, proteins are divided into two, the first class quality protein and the second class quality protein. So as you can understand from the name, first class quality protein and second class quality protein, first is like the best and second class quality is not the best. So you must have heard your parents saying as kids, kuch nahi khaya to doodh pee lo.
Yes.
Yes, why is that? Because milk is a complete source of protein.
Yes.
So if your milk is sustainably acquired, if it is good quality milk, then yes, it can be your source of protein. So all dairy is your first class quality protein. For those of us who are non-veg, chicken, fish, egg, all of that is first class quality protein. As you can understand, they are muscle fibers. So the body assimilates it better, it accepts it better, it recognizes the protein better. As again, the second class quality proteins, which is your dal, pulses, and sprouts.
Oh.
So these are not absorbed completely in the system. The absorption factor on a scale of 1 to 100 is anywhere between 30 to 50.
Oh.
Okay, so these are not the best quality of protein. However, we cannot depend on them for kids because those are okay for maintenance. You need first class quality for growth, right? So having said that, however, you can make combinations. So our traditional meals are combinations. Our traditional meals of dal chawal, rajma chawal, they are all amazing combinations which gives you a complete protein. So a
Yes.
protein that
Kabuli
is
chana.
missing, yeah, a protein that is missing in rice is present in dal, and the protein that is missing in dal is present in rice. So they complement each other really well, right? So that is how protein becomes very important for kids. I feel also the order in which we give our kids food is very important. You know, we load them up with the rice and the roti, and then we don't
Yes.
have an appetite for protein. So you always
Yes.
start with fiber first. So you do the salad, you do the sabji, you do your proteins, and then obviously if you're hungry, you're going to do your roti and your rice. Having said that, I have also seen in many cases if somebody is really hungry, they're tanking up on rice and roti, but they will not take an extra serving of the fiber or the protein, right? So protein, yes, first class is what we need to concentrate on, where 70% should be coming from first class quality protein. Also, if that's not an option, then you need to have combinations like how we mentioned, rice and dal, rice and rajma, etc., because they complement each other. We move to Is my screen moving?
Fats.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
We move to fat. Very important. As much as you guys would be scared of fat or have been scared about fats or been told wrongly about fats, fats are very important. Okay. If you see the integrity of your skin, the integrity of your hair, nails, skin, they all have a layer of fat in the cell. Having said that, like we spoke about the brain has neurons, which are the cells in the brain and the nerve. These neurons are coated with a myelin sheath. Okay. The myelin sheath is nothing but fat. So if you're not eating enough fat, you're not supporting this sort of growth development that is happening in kids. Again, fat is not bad. Having said that, the quality of fat is very important. So if you see dry fruits, nuts and seeds are very good quality fat. Fatty fish has omega-3. Avocado has NUFA, which is again very good. But how much? 25 to 35% of your calories. All of us are on a fat-free diet or on a low-fat diet
Yes.
because we are so freaked with what fat can do to us. But however, I think we should be more freaked from sugar rather than be freaked from fat,
Yes.
right? Make fat your friend because it really works wonders for your skin, for basic development. Because if you understand, carbohydrates have 1 gram gives you 4 calories, while it's fat, 1 gram gives you 9 calories. So you're gonna say, "Oh my God, it's 9 calories," but it's also giving you satiety, right? If you have to have 9 calories from carbohydrate, you'll have to have 2 grams of carbs. But if you have to have it from fat, you're going to have 1 gram of fat. So choose your fats wisely. This is again visible fat that we are talking about. There's a lot of invisible fat. Okay, so those of us who eat non-veg, chicken, mutton, have fat between the muscle fibers. So we need to account for that as well. However, how you cook food is also equally important. Deep fried foods and packaged foods, they have a lot of fat to be allowed to keep them on the shelf. So you want to control that kind of food that you're going to take in, right? Um we move to vitamins and minerals. Very important. Vitamins and minerals, the first, like I said, they are big wheels turn on small cogs. Okay, so vitamins play a very crucial role in your overall growth and well-being. Your vitamins are divided into two types: water soluble and fat soluble. So water soluble vitamins are going to be vitamin D and vitamin C, and the fat soluble are going to be vitamin A, D, E, and K. The difference being that the water soluble need water for absorption and the fat soluble need fat for absorption. So when all of us are on a fat free diet, what is happening to our fat soluble vitamins? We're not getting enough of that. So when we talk about vitamin D, you may be having enough sunlight, enough fortified milk, enough of mushroom, all of that. But if you're not having enough fat, your vitamin D is not getting absorbed, right? So your basic requirements of fat have to be adhered to even in this context. We move to minerals. Minerals again are very important for things like bone function, oxygen transport, all of that. Most of us don't understand that a bone is a renewed tissue. It's not a constant tissue. So it needs to be supported constantly. Your bone again is not only calcium, it's vitamin K2, it's boron, it's vitamin C, it's calcium, all of that. So different minerals, calcium, phosphorus, potassium, sulfur, out of which we'll be touching upon the two most important, calcium and iron. However, if you eat a balanced diet, I am sure that you can manage to have all of these. We move to vitamins. Vitamin A, what are the functions? I've written it very briefly, but all vitamins have big functions. Okay. So that's how, when you reach a deficiency stage, you realize that you're absolutely depleted of everything in your system. So vitamin A and D, as much as we can talk about deficiencies, we also have a flip side of the hypervitaminosis, where we have an excess of these vitamins. Hypervitaminosis is restricted to fat soluble vitamins most of the time because the water soluble ones are excreted via the urine if they are excess. So vitamin A, it has a very important role in immune function, in vision, in skin integrity, in cell growth. So it's actually at the level of the cell that vitamin E is very important. Even for gene expression, vitamin E is very important. The simple sources are going to be carbs, carrots, sweet potatoes, fortified dairy products are good sources of vitamin A. Obviously, all your colorful vegetables and fruits are your sources of vitamin A because they have beta carotene, which is vitamin A.
Delnaaz,
Berries,
can you sorry to interrupt. See, you've
sure,
written here sweet potatoes you
जी
spoke
ma'am.
about. What about
Hmm.
potatoes? Because that is another vegetable which is sort of, I think, abused today. Everybody says, oh, don't touch potatoes, don't touch potatoes. But it is an important part of a diet, isn't it?
So potatoes are not bad,
Yes.
okay, but I would say the sweet potato is like the father of
Okay.
potato.
That's a,
It's
I saw sweet potato, so it reminded me.
Yeah, so we love potatoes. I think it's
Yes.
the most easiest to access, the easiest to cook. Everybody loves a potato. There's nobody who
Yes.
doesn't love potatoes. But nothing wrong with potatoes provided how it's cooked and what time you consume it. So if you're going to constantly eat things like fries and a deep fried potato or things like that, then that's a problem because of how you're handling the produce. But otherwise, if
Okay.
you're going to do like a baked potato or a mashed potato, which is eaten at the right time, so supposing you're going out to play or you've just come back from play, things like
Okay.
that, then a potato is a good snack because it's going to be used up.
Yes.
Having said that, everything cannot have potato. So if you're going to bribe your child that there is potato and you need to eat the subji, then that's the wrong way to approach a situation.
Like
Because
aloo
the
ka
day there is
paratha.
no yeah.
Aloo ka paratha is the most common food in the snack box.
So again, aloo paratha is not easy to make. I don't know
Yes.
why we take that much effort. Same way you
Yes.
can do the gobi and the paneer will be easier,
Yes.
right? So potato is not bad. It's got its fair share of starch, potassium, etc. But it has to be used judiciously. Given that we are the diabetic capital globally, I
Yes.
think we need to go easy. And like I said, we function the same way that we tell our patients to function. So we never have an aloo ka sabji in the house. There's never aloo ka sabji. And my daughter has never eaten aloo sabji as a meal.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, then maybe one to aloo, maybe in a cabbage or in a cauliflower
Yes.
sabji, that's fine.
Cauliflower. Yes.
Yeah, but it's never like plain aloo, right?
Okay.
So I think it's again how we handle them when they are kids. Because I know of
Yes.
someone who just eats bhindi, aloo, and paneer, like just
Yes.
those
Even I
three
do.
things.
Only potatoes, nothing else.
Wow.
I've had a child who would bring only potatoes.
But I don't blame the child, right? He doesn't
Yes,
really have
it
a
is an
choice there.
adult.
It's the parents who need to make
Yes.
this
Yes.
this informed decision.
Yes.
Uh, Again, the requirement, like you see, is 300 to 400 micrograms. So if you're eating a colorful diet, then I think we're hitting a vitamin A on spot. Vitamin D, again, crucial for bone health, immunity, etc. We've spoken about this. Vitamin D is no more a vitamin. It is actually a hormone because it is also known to control your sugars. Vitamin D, a lack of it, is also known to cause depression. So I mean, as something as simple as sunlight, I just want you to
Yes.
imagine yourself in a cold, gloomy place. Imagine yourself
Yes.
somewhere in Norway, Sweden, where half the time of the year you're not getting enough sunlight. How are
Yes.
you going to feel? It kind of really plays on your mind.
Yes. I think we take
And
our sunlight for granted, I think, Delnaz.
big time, big
Isn't
time.
it?
Yeah.
Yes.
And so I feel that we need to allow our children this luxury, which the affluent countries don't have.
Yes.
Yeah. Uh, 600 IU per day. If you have noticed, most kids would be on a supplement till they are almost 1 year old. When the doctor realizes that you have been eating a balanced diet, then automatically the vitamin D goes down. I have also noticed that when you are in an acute illness, this I have a 4 year old for the rest of y'all who don't know, and I have
Yes. So
noticed.
kindergartner, our
Yes, I
age,
am well
mother
within your
spent.
range.
Yes.
And I have noticed that whenever, like my daughter had pneumonia last year, she had influenza a month or two ago. During these illnesses, vitamin D is given, while that supplementation is not on for the rest of the year. So
Yes.
it's very nice to see that it has been used as to support the immune function rather than just being a vitamin for bones and teeth,
Yes.
right? So this becomes very important. We also move to minerals. Minerals, calcium, I think we've spoken enough, but the requirement is only 700 mg per day, which is really small. Okay. And we take 60,000 IU. So if you have to go and do the math, it's a really small amount, which we, if we follow a balanced diet, which is dairy products, obviously, fortified milk, tofu, etc. But I still want to focus more on dairy products. Being a two-tier city like Nagpur, I think you have the privilege, I think you have the
Yes.
luxury of some very clean food, which we in
Yes.
three-tier cities would not get it. Like today, if you
Exactly.
ask me, I don't give my child milk. It's an
Okay.
open forum. I'm making this statement because I'm not sure of where my milk is coming from. I don't know how
Okay.
much hormones are there. I don't know how adulterated this milk is, right? But if you know that you are getting fresh milk,
Yes,
I
we
think
do
we
get
should,
fresh milk.
yeah. So I think you
Yeah.
should use this opportunity to
Yes.
invest in some good calcium for the kids. I don't really suggest the fortified plant milk. They are fortified, but again, they are for the affluent cities who cannot manage the good milk. The fortified milk will have a lot of other additives that are there. So if you read a plant milk like an oat milk or something like that, it's a whole load of starch and other chemicals, preservatives to give it the consistency of milk. So
Okay.
me by far as a choice, I would rather do something natural. Again, I'm not saying everything has to be natural. Sometimes we need to weigh our choices wisely.
Yes.
Yeah. We move to iron. Iron, we all know, is really, really important because we started the presentation with that. Very important for cognitive development. However, your iron deficiency could be because of vitamin C, could be because of deficiency of folate, could be because of the deficiency of B12, and could be the deficiency of protein in your meals, or could be the deficiency of iron by itself. Okay, so when we focus on anemia, we need to understand that the absorption factors of iron are equally important. So if you supplement enough protein, you know that the carrier for iron is present. If you supplement enough vitamin C, you know the absorption of iron is done. So simple things like if you're going to do a palak sabji or a palak soup, squeeze some lime on it,
Okay.
right? Rajma also
Yes.
good in iron, the beans, pulses, lentils, all of them, squeeze some lime on it. I mean, that's the easiest and the cheapest source of vitamin C you will have around that you can combine with food, right? So that becomes very important. Your intake is 7 mg per day, but again, if you eat a balanced diet, I think you will reach that. We move to another topic which is not touched upon mostly because it's not seen so much. It's pretty rare, but it is around. I've been in practice for 15 plus years and I have seen kids, I have seen orange kids. So
I,
yeah, so I have seen a kid who come in totally orangish yellow. Initially, if you are not able to identify the condition, you might feel that it is a jaundice. But if you look closely, it's not a
yes.
jaundice. The child is orange. This happens because of a vitamin A toxicity. Okay, where again, hypervitaminosis is because of mono diet. So this particular child who came to me was overloaded with papaya, carrot, pumpkin soup. Like the full day, if you had to take that guy's recall, he was eating everything that is orange and
Orange.
yellow. And I didn't understand why the mother did that. I obviously she meant well for the child, but she didn't know where to draw the line. So it's important that you give them a mixed bag rather than focusing on one particular type of food. So your symptoms, if you see, there's nausea in all of them, headache, liver damage because vitamin A is stored in the liver. So you want to be careful of that. Overconsumption is obviously because of supplementation. So the child was supplementing and at the same time eating high vitamin A food. So the first thing we taught the mother is to read a label. Okay, reading labels is something we Indians don't do. We just read the front pack, which is a marketing gimmick, but we don't read labels. So it's very important to read a label when you're purchasing a product. We made him stop the supplements. And we controlled his diet, where we actually removed most foods for a good 3 to 4 days. So it's like a washout, and the liver has time to, get rid of all that excess vitamin A. Vitamin D, hypercalcemia, obviously, because extra calcium is going to be absorbed with the vitamin D. Nausea, vomiting, and leads to kidney damage. We don't think about it like that. We keep thinking protein is damaging the kidney, but we don't realize that excess calcium also damages the kidney. Again, you stop the supplementation and you stop fortified food, right? Another thing is vitamin E, blood clotting, hemorrhage, all of that. You will need to modify your supplementation. Prevention, as we've always said, balanced diet, portion size, and cautious use of supplements. We need to understand that as adults, we may be able to make a choice on the supplements we want to use. But for kids, I mean, even till date, I will not make that choice for my child as to what supplement I want to give because I'm not sure, right? We don't do their blood test so often. So we don't know what
Yes.
levels their vitamins are. So instead of stupidly supplementing, it really makes sense to leave this decision to your pediatrician. If you really see a sign and symptom where you feel that, no, there's something wrong, and as a mother or a father, you need to trust your gut and say that, no, something's wrong, I need to get it addressed. So then you may need a supplementation if the pediatrician tells you. But we were very sure that our supplementation was stopped when it was at age 1 and given at times where the requirement was there.
Okay.
We move to another important thing is hydration. Uh, Role of hydration is very underplayed. Our kids sweat a lot. They're playing a lot. There are a lot of vitamin loss. I mean, vitamin losses, of course, and there's a lot of water loss which is happening. So it's very important that you encourage water by itself rather than saying, oh, have a juice or, have anything that is sugary. Because honestly, it's not doing anything. It's just going to make your child more and more hyperactive. And there has been a lot of research that says so much sugar intake in childhood has a major risk for obesity, major risk for cancer. All these have their predisposition in your childhood diet. So it's very important that we focus on just plain hydration, teach them to drink water. Kids don't like to drink water. So the first thing you need to do is you need to live by example. Okay, so for me, I can say that I carry a 2 liter bottle, and my daughter has seen me carry the 2 liter bottle wherever I go, be it work, be it just to run errands. There is water on me all the time. So she notices that, okay, yeah, mom is drinking water, I need to drink water. So that's one thing. Two is it can be as simple as changing the glass or the crockery that you use to give them water. So they feel that if you're drinking from a glass, then why am I being made to have from a plastic glass or a silicone glass? So if it means that they want to have from a glass, let it be that way. But at your main mission is to make sure they have water. And another thing is to make it fun. Okay, you need to see what ticks your child. For me, I realized that there was very less water intake if she's not told to have water. So we would tell her that, now you have a regime to have water. So you have water when you wake up, you have water before breakfast, you have water after all your meals, and you have water before and after play. Okay, so that's a good 8 glasses of water. They won't have an entire glass, so they will keep having half. And in between things like, post a meal, you need to tell them that you need to, there are a lot of vitamins left in your mouth. You want to swallow all of that so that you become strong. So what are we going to do? We're going to play a game. We're going to do sip, swish, swallow. So you sip, you swish, and you swallow. So you do that even 5 times post a meal. You're doing it 15 times in the day, and that's enough water to get it. Another game
Yes.
you can play, who's drinking water first? That's the most easiest game we can all play, right? So now she comes with a glass in her hand, she stands in front of me and she downs the glass, right? So if you impose it onto them, they're not going to do it, okay? Because this is the age they want control. They have seen that I don't get to wear what I want, I don't get to eat what I want, and now I have to drink water as per your whim. There's a
Yes.
lack of control which causes the tantrum. So you need to come midway, but you need to make sure that your work is done, right?
Yes.
So water is very
Yes.
important. Also, don't substitute meals with milk. That's the worst thing we can do for our kids. Don't say that, okay, you've not eaten food, let's have milk. Okay. It can be an additional if your child needs it or wants it. Like, I don't give my daughter milk, but it's not a compulsion that you will not get milk at all. Because sometimes she will say, Mama, can I have milk before I sleep? Of course you can. But make sure your dinner is done. So don't
Yes.
replace milk with, don't replace
What?
food with milk, right?
Yeah. See, even in our school, after every period, because ours is a very
Okay.
activity-based school, and
Right.
the children are on their feet all the time. So
Right.
after every half an hour, when the period
Hmm.
is over, we tell the children go drink water. So
Right.
this way, children get into the habit of drinking water every half an hour.
That's
But
true.
I would like to put a sincere request to the parent. Please give them bottles, water bottles, which have easy lids. Today, parents send us such fancy water bottles to school that poor teacher is busy, opening, finding it difficult to open the water
That's true.
bottle. But the other thing is it makes it very attractive for a child to drink water. And
So, you
parents,
know,
I've seen, we tell children by the time you get into your auto, into your van, or to the school bus, the bottle should be empty.
empty.
Yes. So this is a habit we inculcate in children in school.
True. And obviously, we are a mixed bag of parents. Not everybody's child, possibly your child is going to start school. But water also has a requirement, from 6 months,
Yes.
from the child from the time your child has stopped breastfeeding or has started complementary feeding. From that time to 1 year, it's around 600 to 800 ml. And then we move on to having a good 1200 ml of water through the day. And then it increases, obviously, as they go up. Also, we need to help them understand that all signs of hunger are not hunger. Okay, so
Yes.
as we grow now, we realize that sometimes we're not hungry. We need to be drinking water.
Yes.
So your first response should be drinking water. This does not apply for kids who don't eat food at all. Obviously, we're talking about normal responses.
Yes.
So it's very important that you teach your child to understand these cues. And these cues can only happen if they are done in childhood. So our ways of weaning are very important. Traditional weaning does not allow the child to make a difference between his satiety cues and hunger cues. While when the child is allowed to eat by himself from a good 6 months age, then he realizes satiety cues and hunger cues. So your first question is going to be that how can a child eat when he's 6 months old? I don't know if any of you all have realized that at age 3 months, the child puts his hand in the mouth. He
Yes.
the mouth, right? He knows that food goes in the mouth by then. So if he knows at
Yes.
3 months, what makes you say at 6 months he doesn't know that food goes in the mouth, right?
Yes.
So they are aware, but that awareness needs to be supported. So from 6 months, again, I'm talking from experience because this has been done with my daughter. And I know it's like an experiment and I treat her like a guinea pig, but I feel that it has given a lot of valuable insights to me because she was allowed to eat at 6 months. So we gave her whole food, not pureed. She's never eaten a khichdi. She's never eaten a rab. Those things were never given to her. She was given age appropriate food, which would be mashed between two fingers, but they were
Yes.
whole. So she could hold it and eat it. Now you're going to ask me, how can she chew? Well, their gums are super solid. If you have your child biting your finger, you know how hard they can bite,
Yes.
right? So I feel that at that age, if you allow them to eat by themselves, they know hunger cues and satiety cues. So today, I know she goes to school at 12:30. So it is always a rush in the morning. So we obviously somebody is going to be feeding her at that hour because we are pressed for time. But the moment she says that, Mama, I'm done, we stop. There's no have one bite for the crow, have one bite for mom. No, it doesn't work like that.
Yes.
You're done. Because if you don't listen to these satiety cues, these kids land up overeating when they are adults, and that is the cause of obesity later in life. So today I'm very happy that whoever is feeding her, she just does this. Like, my mouth is closed. I don't want any more food because I'm done. So I think we need to respect the I'm done. Please
Yes.
understand that kids do not remain hungry. Okay, as much
And
as
I
we
think kids
think,
are intelligent enough. I've seen parents sending three parathas in the kids' snack box. I say, I can't eat 3 parathas. How can a little baby eat? A KG1 child, a nursery child, how can they eat? I don't know what is the logic behind this. That jitna khayega utna khane do.
I think we're just over ambitious with what
Yes,
we expect our kids to eat, not realizing that their stomachs are really small. If
small.
our stomach is this much, then their stomach is
Yes,
smaller.
smaller. And it
So
doesn't need this kind of, food.
I think one aloo paratha is pretty heavy because it's like 45
Very
grams of
heavy.
atta with aloo and the ghee,
Yes.
and my
And
God.
yes, that's what we have to, a lot of our time is spent in counseling parents regarding the tiffin that they're going to send in the child's box.
But
A lot
honestly, you
of
can
it,
keep the
yes,
tiffin very simple. You
very
can give
simple,
fruits, you can give
yes,
nuts, you can just give a paneer paratha, maybe
yes,
like
a
three
small
triangles.
one, a
Yeah.
small one can do that.
I also feel that we see our convenience more than trying to
Yes,
have a wholesome meal. I am not judging any mother here because I know that life is very fast. But I'm sure Nagpur is a lot easier than Bombay.
yes,
Like
definitely
for
it
me, I
is.
have an entire menu for her tiffin that is ready in the week because Friday is the day that she can take whatever she wants. And she's very clear about what she wants to take. So Friday is a no bargain for me, but I know Monday to Thursday I can bargain.
Yes,
And God forbid somebody else has got something in their dabba. I get a question at home. Mama, is that allowed? Mama, is that healthy? So, they have this concept in their head of what is healthy and what is not healthy.
yes. That's what when we get this vegetable menu and all, we have children who go home and tell, I saw XYZ, with biscuits. Why can't you give me also biscuits? Why are you giving me, this kind of boring food? We have children who go home and tell. But,
So the
a lot of counseling happens in the class also for healthy food and, not so healthy food.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we're
Yes,
coming towards the end where we're going to discuss how to maintain a balanced diet, and these are a few points that you can really use for yourself. And towards the end, we talk about picky eaters, which at this
yes,
phase needs to be addressed because if it goes further, then we become picky adults, and then that is a big problem,
yes,
right? So maintaining a balanced diet, how? One is variety. Make sure you have a colorful plate, fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and proteins. Mix it all up. You don't need to focus only on one. So if you see your Indian thali, it is honestly a variety. But you just
yes.
need to focus a little more on the protein because the Indian population kind of lacks the amount of protein that they need. Portion control. A lot of us do not understand portion control. Okay, so I know when I've been working that I see people eating 6 rotis and rice. You don't need that much. So you'd rather
You don't
tank
need it.
yourself up with salad and sabji and protein rather than tanking yourself up with the carbs. So portion control is very important. Avoid overeating. This is a very important point which I want to make for parents. One is the point that I made, where we wean them the correct way, where they know where to stop, so they understand hunger and satiety cues. Distraction feeding. I mean, I have seen a couple of friends with their kids. They just put the phone in front. You put the phone in front, and then you keep stuffing food in their mouth. Please understand there's
Yes,
something known as the gut-brain axis. Okay, to understand, it's like a highway between the brain and the gut. There are hormones and there are receptor signals that are released by the gut to tell the brain that I am full. Please stop eating. But that signal has a 10-minute delay. Okay. And in that 10 minutes, you can really overeat. Okay. So it's
yes,
very important to not use the screen when you're eating, to not sit and read a book. And this comes with doing it yourself. Most of us are either with the phone, shouting at somebody, it's not working. Most of us are either scrolling like this and eating,
yes,
not working. And the child is seeing that. So the child says, why not me see Coco Melon if I can just eat my food? And in that
yes,
period, the child doesn't know how much has gone in, right? Such things are to be used when they're absolutely needed. Like, when do I use it? When I need to give her her medicine. Can you imagine the medicine goes down because she doesn't know what is going in her mouth? The same
Yes.
thing is happening when we are feeding them food. You want them to be aware of the textures of the food, the flavor of the food, the color of the food. What does it look like? How does it taste in my mouth? Most of the times, if you use distraction feeding as a method, you will understand if you ask your child, Baba, what did you have today? He's going to be lost because he won't remember what he had. He was not focusing on the food. So, distraction
Yes.
feeding is one way where the child is overeating because he doesn't know where to stop. And we Indians love to show love with food.
With food. Yes.
You know, you're sitting with a bowl of whatever, say porridge or whatever it may be.
Yes.
How do you know when he's full? You'll say, I am the mother. Let's be really practical. If I'm sitting here and stuffing your face with food, how are you going to feel? You're going to be like, I don't want to
Yes.
eat with this lady anymore. So it kind of
Yes.
leads to a very negative relationship with food, either with the person feeding or with the food. So please
Yes.
do not overstuff your child when the child says no means no. If you feel that, okay, it's not enough, keep it at the side and tell him, Baba, when you're hungry again, this is what is going to be available for you. Because some kids
Yes.
have this thing that, if I don't eat this now and if I want snacks, mama will give me snacks because I've not eaten food, right? But that's not the right approach. So in our house, it's very simple. If you're honestly full, like the child's appetite
Yes.
over a period of time. But there could be many factors. There could be factors of having overslept or not hungry or just not feeling right, which most of us do. And I think we should respect that for our kids as well. So if you
There are
feel that,
times when
okay,
you don't feel like
you
eating.
don't feel like eating, and
Yes. So
that's
your
fine.
child also, yes,
So I think we need to respect that for our
respect
children. So
that.
in our house, if we feel that she's eaten 2 bites and said, okay, I don't want to eat. Okay, you don't want to eat. That's fine. You can leave now. But should you feel hungry in the next 1 hour, the food is right here, right?
Yes.
So there is some discipline that this is what is made for everybody and this is what you get. There's no fancy food that you're going to get, right?
We at home,
Hmm.
thankfully, I was born during the era when there was no television, and
Wow.
it was mandatory in our house, the family dinner. It was compulsory. Everybody had to sit, and my memory with food is wonderful because that was a time when everybody got together. We shared our day. Parents talked to us. The siblings, we exchanged news. So meal
Very true.
time was one of the fabulous times in the day. I
I
wish
think
we could bring that
we
into
use
the
this
lives.
time like after I got married, I made a rule that there is no TV when there is meal time.
Yes,
Obviously, it's not taken too well because that has been a habit for years.
for
Forget, I didn't have
years.
a child at that time. It was just, it had to be family time. It had to be time
Yes.
where people sat
There
and
has to
bonded
be. Yes,
with each other, right? Instead of
exactly.
everybody is watching the screen, nobody knows what is happening in somebody else's life.
Yes,
Somebody's eaten their food, not eaten their food, immaterial because I don't know, I'm watching the screen.
yes,
Right. So from that perspective, I think I made that rule very early. And today also, if there is somebody watching TV, we have the dining hall and the hall together. So if somebody is watching TV there, her high chair is taken in the bedroom. That you will not be watching
yes.
TV and eating food. That is not an option for you. So I think we need to make certain rules which will go a
Certain
long way.
rules, exactly.
Yeah. We move to regular snacks and meals. Very important. There has to be a schedule in the day. It just can't be that the child is running around and constantly stuffing his face. Please understand that every time you eat, there is an insulin spike. Insulin loves to make fat. It is a hormone that loves to make fat. We're talking basic physiology. So imagine if you're constantly stuffing your face all day, you're constantly making fat, right? So again, the choice of food, maintain your energy levels with good quality carbs. Okay. So if you eat a simple carb, like if you eat, say, Chinese food, all of us say, no, Chinese food is light,
Yes,
right? It's not light. It's very simple carbs. So simple carbs means those that don't have fiber. So it's easily absorbed in the system. As you eat your Chinese food, your blood sugar spikes, and within 2 hours, there's a blood sugar slump. And every time your sugar falls, you're hungry.
you're
So it's not
hungry.
light,
Yes,
but you have eaten simple sugar. So if you eat carbs that are high in fiber, they will give you a sustained release of energy rather than constantly wanting to eat,
okay.
right? So keep your meals and snacks regularized for the kids. Limit sugary and processed foods. I think we've spoken enough about this. There are choice of snacks, our choice of food is very important. So today, if she comes and tells me, I'll give you a live example. A few weeks ago at 11, at 10:30 in the night, she comes and says, Mama, I'm hungry. And my mom says, no, no, she's not hungry. I said, oh, maybe she is hungry. I said, yeah, what would you want? And she said, I want milk. I said, can we eat something since you're hungry? So she said, yes. I said, can we have a boiled egg? So she said, yes. I said, you need to wait for it. So I go to the kitchen. She is with me while I'm boiling the egg. And then she looks at a tomato and she says, can I have a tomato? I said, of course you can. So she eats the tomato. I said, you have to eat your boiled egg. She eats the boiled egg. Then she says, I'm hungry. Can I have one more tomato? And I said, sure. And she's eaten one more tomato. And then she comes and says, can I tell you a secret? I said, yes. Can I have one more tomato? I said, are you kidding me? At 11:30 in the night?
Yes.
So it's the choices we offer. It would have been so easy for me to give her chips or give her a chocolate or give her
Yes.
anything, she'd eat it and go to
Yes.
sleep. But I think that choice was very important, and she was so happy to eat the boiled egg and the tomato at 11 in the night, right? So
Yes.
limit your sugary foods and processed foods. Maintain role modeling. I think we've spoken enough that you need to do what
Yes.
you tell them to do. They're not going to listen to you. Okay. Involve your child. This is very simple. Take them to the market, introduce them, allow them to see colorful fruits and vegetables. It's a very gratifying experience, because they know the effort it takes to put food on the table. Because you as a mother will say, it takes me 3 hours to cook your food, it takes you 3 seconds to deny it really hurts. But if you take them through this process, take them to the market, allow them to choose fruits and vegetables. When you're home, allow them to sort things like pudina, coriander, sit and peel and sort. It helps their pincer grapes. It helps in
Yes.
many things, right? So
Colors, texture. It's an
texture.
educative experience.
Right. So when we have at home, she's sitting in the floor and sorting pudina, or she's breaking the ends of French beans and things like that. So she understands. There are times she'll say, can I try the French beans? I said, please try. You should know what it tastes like. Right. And
Yes.
at the end of it, sometimes she's even allowed to cut. So there are baby steel knives, there are serrated knives which
Yes.
are not so sharp. You can peel a fruit and give it to her to cut. So things like banana, papaya are softer to cut.
Yes.
Obviously supervised, but this really gets them intrigued with food. And then when you put that kind of food in front of them, they are really happy to consume.
Yes.
So take them through the process. It makes your life easier. Consistency. Maintain a consistent meal and snack schedule. Picky eaters, like we said, offer fun shapes to them. Things like carrots can be cut into flowers. You can make leaves with your coriander. I'm sure you've seen all of this on Pinterest and
Yes.
Instagram. But
Yes.
yeah, but these really help when you have a picky eater at home, because please understand, how do you eat food first? If it's not appealing, you're not going to eat it. So many times, you look at food and you say, it's not looking nice. But like for me, when I was growing up, Lauki ka sabji was gray in color. I don't know why. But that gray was not appealing. And till the time I got married, I didn't eat Lauki ka sabji because it would just want me to puke. But the day I started making Lauki ka sabji, I would eat it. So it's important that food has to be appealing. Please just don't dump a plate for your child and say, "Usko kya samajh mein aata hai?" Right? Makes the food appealing, because we eat with the eyes first, our nose second, and then we eat actually physically. Offer dips. So things like hummus, yogurt, guacamole. Hummus does not always have to be chickpeas. You can make tea hummus, you can make rajma hummus. That way you're upping the protein. So things like, if you're doing a sandwich, use a good quality bread, use a nice sourdough, use a whole wheat bread. Get them accustomed to these hard textures, because maida bread is amazing. Who doesn't like maida bread? But a
Yes.
whole wheat and a sourdough is an acquired taste. We will like
Yes.
it because we know it's healthy. On these breads, instead of doing butter, you can do avocado because it's as creamy and soft as butter. You can do hummus, it adds to the protein. You can whisk a little paneer in a mixer jar with a little milk or cream, and that becomes a good cheese spread sort of a thing. You can add a good seasoning to it, and you get a homemade cheese spread. Again, that's high in protein. So these are the ways that you can accentuate your kids' meals better. Make meals obviously more appealing in terms of color, make it more vibrant, etc. serve smaller portions. Okay, for kids who are picky eaters, when they see a large portion, they get very overwhelmed seeing that portion. So serve smaller portions, allow them to ask for a second helping. This also tells you that they understand their hunger feels. They know that, I need some more, I'm feeling hungry. Offer choices. Again, this is very important. What do you mean by offer choices? My choice cannot be, do you want bread or do you want eggs? These are not equal choices. Bread is a source of carbohydrate and egg is a source of protein, right? So if I want to give a choice, I should be giving them two choices which are acceptable to me. So if I'm saying do roti, like do wheat roti or do ragi roti, they're equal choices. I'm okay with whatever she chooses. Do egg or do chicken. I'm okay with either one. So what happens is you're giving them a sense of control. You are allowing them to choose, and both those choices should be acceptable to you. So it's very important because they need that kind of control. This is the age where they are wanting that control, and that is where our tips and tantrums come into the picture. So reduce the friction, give them equal choices. Do not force it down. I think we need to respect their hunger and satiety cues, and we don't want to.
That's
Your
why
key.
when we have our orientation with parents, I tell them the most important thing is sit with your child. Tell the
Hmm,
mother, make a weekly timetable. See,
hmm.
why does a school run systematically and well? Because everything is planned,
Time bound. Yeah.
every time bound. So do it at home. Have a whiteboard, have or a blackboard, and write Monday to Saturday, Monday to
I
Sunday.
think you
Say
can involve your
breakfast.
child in this process.
Involve your child. The child feels so important. And by the time you take a look at the entire board, you can see what are the things that you have missed out. Have I missed out
True.
proteins? Have I missed out minerals, vitamins? And then you can explain to your child, and the child feels empowered. I think this
Also,
would be a yes,
I've seen that, most, like, I'll give you my example. I don't like South Indian food. Like, I don't like
yes,
an idli because in my head, idli is just carbohydrate. It may be fermented. Yes, there may be some dal. But for somebody who eats
yes,
non-veg, I'm not looking at idli for protein. So in my head,
yes,
I don't like South Indian food. But I was very conscious that when Sia started eating at around 6 to 8 months, I exposed her to everything, be it an avocado, be it karela, be it idli, be it anything. Things that I never ate, I would give her because you need to develop a palate, right? So obviously at 7 months when she had avocado, she made like the most horrible face, like what's she giving me? But over a period of time, that taste will come in. If
it's
they
an
reject
acquired
the food
taste.
once, yeah. If they
Yes,
reject the food once, you don't have to stop. You have to keep offering it to them. Change the way you offer it to them. At some point, if you feel that okay, she's made a decision, she doesn't like it, okay, she doesn't like it. But this happens. So we had a deal in my house that from 6 months to a year, that is 6 months, we are going to try 100 different foods. So it is 100 food rule where I would actually have a paper where I would say, okay, today I tried this, today I tried this. And I would look out for things, different textures, different colors, different flavors, because this helps to develop the child's palate. So that's why I said at 7 months,
palate.
I gave her avocado.
Yes,
It's not an indigenous food, but it's a food with a very different texture. It has no taste, but the
yes,
texture is very creamy, and you kind of take time to get used to it. And
yes,
lo behold, she didn't like it. Again, things like oats. Imagine if I tell you to eat oats with your hands. You're going to be like, it's so gooey. Who's going to eat oats? Just to
yes,
think about it. But I have let her play in a bowl of oats because I know that that textural play was very important. Today, me and my husband don't eat with our hands. Why? Because we don't like the feel of food. But she is okay to eat with her hands and with a fork and spoon because we've allowed
yes,
that to happen. Right? So this sort of weaning comes in at a very early age and which really affects their intake later. So your key takeaways from this is carbohydrates, essential for kids in growth and energy. Avoid liquid calories. Adequate protein in every single meal. If they are doing any activity, be it a sport, as they grow older, they would be into football, they would be into many other sports, their protein requirements will increase. Limit sugar. I think you should eliminate sugar. I'm just being polite by saying limit sugar.
yes,
You don't need it. Okay. Vitamin D, monitor and supplement if required, especially if there is less outdoor playtime. Healthy food relationship, very, very, very important. I couldn't emphasize more on this. Distraction-free meals, no screens, no toys, no books, no phones, nothing. It's just
Yes.
food and herself. Encourage a variety. Avoid mono meals, and don't do what you don't like. So if you don't like something, don't say, oh, she will not like it. Please give it. A balanced perspective on food is very important. There's no food that is good or bad. A french fry is not bad. A pizza is not bad. It's how you give that food. And please don't use food as reward. We are not dogs. Okay. We don't work with reward like that. Please reward your child with an activity. Say, okay, today if you do this, we're going to have half an hour of extra play. Today, if you do this, we're going to go to a play area. Today, if you do this, do something fun, but please do not associate eating food as a reward. It really works in a very negative way later on in life, where we're only working to eat food, right? And family mealtime rituals, we've spoken on this. Let mealtimes be that of a positive one. Right?
Delnaaz, we have a parent,
Yes.
Surbhi Vaidya, who wants
Okay.
to know, who wants you to give a healthy alternative to milk.
So honestly, milk. Okay, milk is. I feel I don't know why you asked me for an alternative for milk. Is it because your child is lactose intolerant, or you feel that the quality of milk is not good? Okay, so Surbhi, I'm just going to break it down for you because I'm not sure why you're asking me that. But if your
Yes.
child is lactose intolerant, which means that your child is not able to tolerate milk, there are two types of lactose intolerance. One, where the child doesn't tolerate milk, and two, the child doesn't tolerate anything that is made from milk and milk itself. So one is you may want to identify that. And if you're asking me on that perspective, why no milk? Well, milk because you can try oat milk, you can try rice milk, you can try cashew milk. Again, to make all of these at home, you know, you have to take very little almond to make X amount of almond milk. So there are substitutes in the market. There is oat milk, there's soya milk, there's rice milk. You can try all of that. But if you feel that your child is not lactose intolerant and you don't want to give milk, then well, then you can try buttermilk. You can try buttermilk and curd is good enough as an alternative to substituting milk for its benefit.
We have Takshita Yadav, who says how to encourage child for distraction-free milk, free meals, distraction-free. I think Delnaaz, you have touched upon that.
Yeah,
We can make reels and we can put it in our on our website and Instagram and Facebook, so that we'll take parts which are very which
sure.
are and
Right.
so that our parents come to get a better idea about it. I think we have touched upon distraction-free meals.
Right.
Yes, where the entire family sits together.
But
We
I feel
have
it's about the relationship you make with your food,
yes,
because initially it's going to be very difficult, Takshita, where you're going to remove the distraction completely, but you need to make it a mandate that either
yes,
the TV is spoiled or the phone is not working, I don't have network, I don't have battery. It's not going to be there. If you're hungry, this is what it is. So you will realize your child will first show you major resistance and say, okay, I'm not going to eat. Okay,
yes,
don't eat. Don't eat.
yes,
But later you can go forward and say that when the child comes back and says, Mom, I'm hungry, well, this is what is there. Would you like to eat? And I'm sure the answer is yes, because when you don't give them a choice, this is what that is.
yes,
The moment you start giving them choices, it becomes a problem.
yes. And giving in to children all the time. I think that is something you should not do. From day one, you have the rules set in the house. Then,
Very true.
it will be really, rules have to
True.
be non-negotiable at times, I feel.
No, I think kids need rules.
Yes. Kids
Okay,
need
because
rules.
they need a structure, they need a
Yes.
routine, because it becomes
Yes.
easier. The moment they don't have a routine, their tantrums increase.
Yes.
So I mean, that's the only way to do it, Takshita. You just need to be cold turkey. One
Yes.
fine day say, sorry, today no distraction. And this, uh, especially I've seen in restaurants, because you don't want your child to run around. You want to enjoy your meal. You want to have a nice time. So you're going to say, okay, chalo, take the phone and sit. It's
Yes.
about weighing your situation. I am not judging
Yes.
anybody. If you feel that, chalo, I've had a hard day and I really want this half an hour, 1 hour meal time to myself, fair enough. But it should not be a habit. Okay, so
Habit.
what I do to my daughter is I season her 2 days before a dinner and say, you know what, yeah, we need to go for dinner. You need to be well behaved. You're gonna have time out, which is 2 hours. 2 hours you need to be seated at the table. After 2 hours, you can do what you want. And it has really worked. Okay, so I've entered the restaurant and I told her, your time starts now. Okay, so she has sat at the table, she has had her meals on her own, and then obviously she has seen cake or somebody's birthday, so all that control is out of the window. But
Yes.
that's okay. For
That's
90%
okay,
of
I
the
think.
meal, she has
Yes.
been in her place. So you
Yes.
can't expect them to sit longer than that. Again, what you
Yes.
can do is what we do in a restaurant before the food comes, we ask for color or we carry crayons and a workbook or
Yes. I
something,
have seen
and
many parents
and
doing
we do
this.
that, but
Yes.
not
Giving
while
child.
eating.
Yes.
Okay, this is all before the meal and after the meal when you want to keep them contained, but
Yes.
not beyond that.
So, Delnaaz,
Somebody
it's
asked me
been,
for my
I think,
number, so
yes,
I have
somebody
put
was,
up the screen.
yes.
Yeah,
Yes, I can see the contact number and the uh, email ID also.
right.
Yes. So thank you, Delnaz. It's been a lovely, enriching experience talking to you. And my final takeaway after listening to you is, you know, uh, when I get something like this, put it in the waste, not my waste. I
If it
think
doesn't pass your lips, it doesn't reach the hips, right?
exactly.
Yeah,
So thank you so much. It's been a
my pleasure.
wonderful session. And viewers, viewers, thank you for being with us. And we look forward to having you with us many, many more for many more sessions with experts like Delnaz and many more. So thank you, everyone. Good evening and have a good time. And once more, Delnaz, thank you very much.
Thank you.